but you want honest answers and stuff.
That would be helpful.
I can make them up too if you wish.
Well, can you get the cane there?
No, I'll put the
Here,
cane-
give me, I'll get it.
I'll put the cane over here. That's okay. Now I can fall asleep in this chair when I do that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
That was very good.
Well, I am a lector at church, you know, and I like to speak to the crowds. 840 people in our church during the busy season. Right now about 100, the non-busy season. Well, what dost thou wish? Is that one of those digital type cameras?
It is.
I don't know anything about them or how to use them or anything else.
You're not camera shy, are you?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, not microphone shy.
No, I don't have a microphone, but
Well, what picks up the sound then?
well, there's a little microphone
It has its
somewhere.
own built-in,
Yeah.
are these lights my better side? I don't know.
I got your better side. I even dimmed the light down a little bit, you know. So it makes you softer.
All right, it makes me shine out better.
It's kind of like a Grace Kelly,
Oh,
1940s.
okay, well, that was good.
All right.
Look what happened to her.
I know I didn't do the follow-up, but... So where were you born?
New York City.
You'll have to be more specific.
I don't remember the street because I was too young to recall it. But it was in the Bronx. And, yeah, that was it, in the Bronx, New York City.
And is that where you grew up?
Not in that particular area, but in another part of the Bronx, yes.
And what part was that?
The part commonly referred to as the North Bronx, and near the, not too far from the border of the city of Yonkers.
No, the nice part of town.
Yeah. Nice area, near the parks. No problem.
That's good. And what did your dad do?
He mostly worked in the banking area, one type or another banking jobs. Yeah. Various jobs, but mostly, as I say, in the line of credit and loans and banking work.
Trusting people.
I don't know if he trusted anybody because I don't trust anybody, so I don't know about that.
That's good. And where did you go to high school?
I went to DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx, within walking distance of my house, and it was the largest all-boys high school in the world. We had 10,000 boys, all boys, but not all of them went to the main campus. We had a couple of other branches. I would guess that, maybe about 80% or about 8,000 went to the main campus. The others went to the other branches. So one branch was in Manhattan, one branch was in the Bronx and another part of the Bronx. I don't know if we had any others. But we always boasted that it was the largest all-boys high school in the world. My graduating class, we used to graduate twice a year. It's a 6 months arrangement. And my graduating class had 1,000 boys in it. And that was half a year, if you want to think of it that way. Yep.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, it was. And somehow we got along most of the time.
So then where did you go to college?
I first went to the City College of New York, but I stayed there only one semester, maybe a year, I think one semester though. And after many years later, I went to Fordham College.
Which is in
the Bronx, yeah. I briefly attended Princeton University under the Army's Specialized Training Program. And I flunked out of that because I've always been rather poor in math, and they had a great deal of math in the program. And in fact, if you want a humorous story, maybe it's not so humorous, one of the final exams, if not the final exam, because this was during World War II, required you to navigate a bomber from the mainland of the United States to someplace in England, I guess it was. And you were given all of the things that might happen to you on the trip, everything from fuel consumption to wind, altitude, all kinds of things of that nature. And you had to methodically plot this course all the way over to England. And I did that, as did everybody else, but when I got my report back, it said that I had failed because I had brought the bomber down in the water somewhere near England instead of at an airport. So I went to the professor and tried to argue myself into a passing grade on the grounds that after all I came close. And I remember him screaming at me saying the Army Air Corps doesn't want people navigating bombers who come close. And that's what happened.
That's a good story.
But actually I was in the wrong program anyway. When I was in Princeton, I originally had been sent there to study Arabic. At that time they had quite a program. It's interesting today to think of that. And when I got there, they somehow divided us up, and half were to study Arabic and half were to do engineering. And I got put into the engineering program, and that's what got me into trouble.
The math.
The math, mainly. And some other courses, physics, chemistry, and so on. With physics, it wasn't so bad because you were divided into partners, two fellas. And my partner I worked with out, that he did all the physics experiments. He worked with all the gadgets and timers and whatnot. And then I wrote the reports because I could write and he could do the experiments and got through there okay.
That's good.
Okay,
So when did you join the Army?
1942.
For World War II?
Yes, and that was the war you may have heard of. I don't know, in your history books. I think.
Maybe. And what did you do?
I was a private. I didn't do anything. I helped the war effort, but not very much. Anyway.
Did you have to go overseas?
No, I didn't. No.
So where did they station you?
Well, I was stationed at Camp Upton, Long Island, and it's an interesting question. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, then back to New York City. At that time, there had been a large building, five stories perhaps, which had been the Israel Orphan Asylum. It was a Jewish orphanage for children, Jewish children. And the Army took it over and converted it into barracks, and I was one of the, I guess, few hundred who were in the Israel Orphan Asylum, which they didn't call it that once the Army took it over, of course. And we were there just before and during the rather serious race riots that took place in Harlem in 1943, I guess it was. And that was a rather serious situation with shooting and that kind of thing. Because we had fellas in the barracks, in this building, who literally had to shoot it out with people in other buildings nearby and that sort of thing. And so I was there, and then where did I go next? And I think I was in the Israel Orphan Asylum before I went to Fort Bragg. Yeah, that's right, then I went to Fort Bragg. And I got out of the Army at Fort Bragg. I'd had enough, so they couldn't use my splendid services anymore, so I quit.
Is that when you, so then you went to go teach?
Oh no, because that was you know, in 1943, I guess. And, you know, returned home and had various jobs until I went to college at Fordham College, and then Fordham University Graduate School.
What did you graduate with?
Well, I had my Bachelor of Science degree, and then I got a Master of Arts, and then a Doctor of Philosophy.
Ooh.
And my major was economics. And then I actually went to teaching when I had my master's degree, and went on for the doctorate.
At Seton Hall?
Well, I taught at Seton Hall, but
Yeah.
I went to Fordham University for the graduate program. Okay, you're going to pay me now?
I don't have anything to pay you with.
Well, I thought maybe it was a paid commercial or something like this, you know.
You can have some wine.
Well, no, that's true, but it's early in the morning, and there's a saying in the Navy, you don't drink till the sun is over the yardarm, and it's not over the yardarm yet.
Close. So are there any other interesting stories for my interview?
Well, the most interesting, of course, has been my life with your dear grandmother.
Ah, yes, I'm sure.
That has been a series of adventures for almost 50 years. Most of the adventures, pleasant ones. She's having trouble with her ear right now. I think I can hear in the background.
Oh, you know what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, she has a hearing aid and great difficulty inserting it properly, and it's rather painful for her. We've taken it back for readjustment and the like a couple of times, but still doesn't seem to be right.
It's understandable.
And of course, the greatest adventures also included having children, one of whom is your father.
Yes, I'm sure he did all types of bad stuff.
I wouldn't say bad, I would say adventuresome.
Ah, yes.
I would say original. Everything from being a volunteer fireman to other types of legitimate activity.
I see.
No, when he was a young boy, he belonged to the Boy Scouts and in the Cub Scouts, I guess, first. And the Cub Scouts then, and maybe still, have an annual derby race where the boys make small wooden cars and they race them down this incline. And they time it to see who wins. Well, I figured I'd help your father out, so I had the bright idea, because they had the dimensions for the car, and you couldn't exceed the dimensions, but they didn't say anything about the weight. So I got the bright idea of taking a heavy spike and putting it under the car to give it more weight, so then it would go down the hill faster. Well, that sounded okay to your father, it sounded okay to me, it was my idea. But when we had the race, the spike stuck on the wood of the incline, and he was disqualified for trying to maneuver this.
It's cheating.
Well, they didn't say you couldn't do that. Only, unfortunately, that's what happened.
And you used to have a boat?
Yes, we've had several boats, and the last boat we had was a trawler type boat, 43 feet long, twin diesel engines, and we sold that boat, I would say it must be about 13, 14 years ago. We used to keep it in Chesapeake Bay. And we cruised all over. We've been to Canada with it. We've been up and down the Hudson and throughout Chesapeake Bay, obviously. Other places too.
Was that the Leilani?
Yes. Each of our boats has been named Leilani. And I got the name from a motion picture going back to the 1930s, I guess, maybe 1936, 37, with Bing Crosby, where he sung that song, Sweet Leilani. And at that time, as a young boy, I said, if I ever have a boat, my name is Leilani, and I remembered that, and that's why the name. Leilani means beautiful flower in Hawaiian.
That's what I thought.
So all my boats have been called Leilani.
I did try to break one of your boats one time. I threw your ropes overboard, if I
Well,
recall.
I remember that, yes. You in fact, when you were younger than that, and you used to cruise on one of our boats with your parents, we had a flying bridge. And naturally, to take small children on the flying bridge is kind of risky, especially when they're in a playpen. So your father rigged up the playpen on the flying bridge, secured it to the rail, and dumped you in it, so you couldn't go any place that we weren't aware of.
Oh, that's clever. I was a prisoner.
More or less. It's good practice for years later in life, I figure.
Yeah, I guess so. One of these days. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, it's a pleasure celebrating Christmas here with you and your family and our family. And I hope you do well in your course, and if some professor is reading this or judging it, he should know that he's got a good student.
That's good.
Okay?
That'll work.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want to bring my friend over here?
Yep.
Has she gotten her ear fixed? Thank you.
Is your ear fixed?
Yeah, it is the time being. I don't know what it is. It seems to be okay, but
You know, the damn thing costs $2,000 just for the one use, and it's, you know,
when you get up there, that's a big, deep, deep
no, I
chair.
get up. It takes me a while. No.
Don't?
I gotta scoot forward, work my way forward because I then push myself up with my hands.
All right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Pleasure doing business. Don't hit me. That will show up on the film and people will say, your wife